Before you continue watching this story, look at your reflection. Not for a second. Not for 2. Look at it, for at least 10 seconds. Because the man in this story did the same thing. And that was the moment he realized something was wrong. His reflection blinked first. And if that ever happens to you, don't move. Don't react. Because the moment it knows that you noticed, it won't stop watching you. Daniel Carter never believed in anything supernatural. Ghosts, curses, haunted places. He always dismissed them as stories people told to scare themselves. That was why the job didn't bother him. A night security guard in an almost abandoned 40-floor office building. Easy money. Quiet nights. No stress. At least, that's what he thought. The building itself felt wrong the moment he stepped inside. It wasn't the architecture. It wasn't the silence. It was something else. Something subtle. Like the place was watching him. The manager, Mr. Harlan, was waiting in the lobby. A thin man. Pale. Tired eyes. The kind of man who looked like he hadn't slept in years. "Daniel," he said, shaking his hand. "Glad you made it." Daniel nodded. "Place looks empty." "It is," Harlan replied. "Most floors are shut down." He handed Daniel a small flashlight and a set of keys. "Your job is simple. Walk every floor. Check the cameras. Make sure everything stays quiet." Daniel smirked. "That's it?" Harlan hesitated. Just for a moment. Then he said, "There's one rule." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "You can patrol every floor." Harlan looked directly into his eyes. "Except the 13th floor after 3 a.m. Daniel chuckled. "What is this, some kind of horror movie rule?" Harlan didn't laugh. "I'm serious." "Why?" The manager looked away. "You don't need to know." Daniel shrugged. "Got it. Stay away from floor 13. Easy." Harlan stepped closer. "No," he said quietly. "Not easy." There was something in his voice. Something real. Daniel felt it. But he ignored it. Because people always acted weird about old buildings. Old stories. Old fears. Nothing more. The first few hours were exactly what he expected. Silent. Empty. Boring. He walked through dark hallways. Checked locked doors. Watched security monitors flicker with static. Everything was normal. Until it wasn't. At exactly 3:17 a.m. Every monitor froze. At the same time. Every screen stopped moving. Except one. Daniel frowned. What the hell? He stood up slowly. Walked closer to the screens. One monitor was still active. The label beneath it read, "Floor 13. Daniel stared at it. The hallway on the screen was dark. Dusty. Abandoned. Just like the others. But there was something different. Something standing in the distance. A figure. Tall. Still. Facing the camera. Daniel leaned closer. Trying to see its face. The image flickered slightly. And then. The figure moved. Slowly. It lifted its arm. And waved. Directly at him. Daniel froze. Because deep down. He knew one thing for sure. There was no one supposed to be on that floor. Daniel didn't move. For a few seconds. He just stood there, staring at the monitor. The figure on floor 13 had stopped waving. Now it was completely still again. But something about it felt wrong. Not just because it was there, but because of how it stood. Too straight. Too perfect. Like it wasn't breathing. Daniel swallowed. Okay, maybe someone broke in, he muttered. He reached for the control panel. His fingers hovered over the joystick that controlled the CCTV cameras. Let's zoom in. He pushed it forward. Nothing happened. The camera didn't respond. But then, the screen flickered. And suddenly, the camera zoomed in by itself. Daniel froze. I didn't do that. The image slowly pushed closer toward the figure. The hallway stretched in unnatural perspective. Like the deeper the camera went, the longer the corridor became. Too long. Impossible. Daniel's chest tightened. Come on. This is just a glitch. The camera kept moving. Closer. Closer. The figure was no longer far away. It stood just a few meters from the camera now. Its body was still unclear in the darkness. But its face was becoming visible. Daniel leaned in, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. Then the image sharpened. And his blood ran cold. The face on the screen was his own. Same hair. Same eyes. Same expression. Standing there. Watching him. Daniel stumbled backward. No, that's not possible. His heart started racing violently. That's not me. The version of him on the screen tilted its head slightly. Just a few degrees. Slow. Unnatural. And then, it smiled. But Daniel wasn't smiling. The lights in the room suddenly flickered. Once. Twice. Then, everything went dark. Complete silence. No hum of electricity. No distant city noise. Nothing. Daniel stood frozen. His breath became loud in the darkness. Too loud. Hello, he whispered. No answer. Then, footsteps. Somewhere outside the security room. Slow. Heavy. Echoing. Daniel's entire body tensed. That's not possible, he whispered. There's no one else here. The footsteps continued. Closer now. Step. 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 Daniel turned slowly toward the door. His hand trembled as he reached for the flashlight. He turned it on. The beam cut through the darkness. Empty hallway. Nothing there. But the footsteps didn't stop. They were still coming. From the same direction. Closer. Closer. Daniel's breathing became uneven. Show yourself, he shouted. Silence. Then, the footsteps stopped. Right outside the door. Daniel stared at it. Waiting. Listening. Nothing. For a moment, everything was still. Then suddenly. Bang. Something slammed hard against the door. Daniel jumped back. Jesus. Another hit. Bang. The door shook violently. As if something was trying to break in. Daniel grabbed the handle instinctively. And realized something worse. The handle was moving. Slowly turning. From the outside. Daniel stepped back. His mind racing. There's no one there. The handle turned completely. The door creaked open. Slowly. Very slowly. Daniel pointed the flashlight toward the opening. The light trembled in his hand. The hallway outside was empty. No one. Nothing. Just darkness stretching endlessly. The footsteps were gone. The noise was gone. Everything was silent again. Daniel lowered the flashlight slightly. His heart still pounding. This doesn't make any sense. Then something caught his attention. From the corner of his eye. Behind him. On the monitors. A faint glow. The screens were back on. Daniel turned slowly. The CCTV flickered again. Every screen was normal. Every floor. Empty. Except one. Floor 13. The camera showed the hallway again. But this time, the figure was gone. Daniel exhaled shakily. Okay, it's over. Then. Movement. On the screen. Daniel's eyes widened. The camera angle slowly shifted. Not forward. Not backward. But sideways. Like someone was holding it. Turning it. Looking around. And then. The camera stopped. Pointing directly at something. Daniel leaned closer. Confused. Then his body went cold. Because what the camera was now showing was not the hallway anymore. It was the security room. His room. The exact room he was standing in. And in the screen, he saw himself. Standing there. Holding the flashlight. But something was wrong. The version of him in the monitor wasn't holding the flashlight. It was standing still. Smiling. Daniel slowly turned around. Because he realized something horrifying. If the camera was showing him, then something else was standing behind him in real life. Daniel didn't want to turn around. Every instinct in his body told him not to. But something deeper. Something primal. Forced him to move. Slowly, painfully slowly. He turned his head. The room behind him was empty. No one. Nothing. Just darkness. Daniel exhaled sharply, almost laughing in disbelief. This is just in my head. But then. He looked back at the monitor. And his stomach dropped. Because the version of him on the screen was still there. Still standing. Still smiling. And now. It was closer. Closer than before. Its face filled most of the screen. Eyes wide open. Unblinking. Watching him. Daniel stumbled backward. That's not me. Then suddenly. The screen went black. All of them. Every monitor. At the same time. And in that instant. Daniel heard it. Right behind him. A whisper. Soft. Cold. Don't turn around again. Daniel froze. His entire body locked in place. His breath caught in his throat. Slowly. Very slowly. He looked down at the floor. And that's when he noticed something impossible. A shadow. Right in front of him. But it wasn't his. The shadow moved. Even though he didn't. It lifted its arm. And pointed toward the door. Daniel's heart nearly stopped. Then the voice came again. Right behind his ear. You need to go, before it replaces you completely. Daniel didn't hesitate anymore. He ran. The hallway outside the security room felt different. Longer. Darker. Wrong. The lights flickered violently as he sprinted. His footsteps echoed unnaturally. As if the hallway was stretching with every step. He reached the elevator. Smashed the button repeatedly. Come on, come on. The doors slid open. Daniel rushed inside. He pressed lobby. The doors began to close. But just before they shut, he saw something in the reflection of the metal doors. A figure. Standing behind him. Smiling. Same face. Same body. Same him. The doors slammed shut. Daniel turned around instantly. Nothing there. The elevator began to descend. Floor 10. Floor 8. Floor 6. Then suddenly, it stopped. The lights flickered. And the panel changed. 13. Daniel's blood ran cold. I didn't press that. The elevator dinged. The doors slowly opened. A dark hallway stretched before him. Endless. Silent. Waiting. And standing at the end of the hallway was Daniel. Perfectly still. Waiting for him to step out. Daniel stayed inside the elevator. He couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. The version of him in the hallway didn't move either. It just stood there. Watching. Smiling. Too wide. Too wrong. This isn't real, Daniel whispered. The lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then everything went silent again. The world outside the elevator felt frozen. Time had stopped. Daniel stepped out slowly. The moment his foot touched the floor, the elevator doors slammed shut behind him. He spun around. No. He rushed back. Pressed the button. Nothing. No response. The elevator was dead. Daniel turned back toward the hallway. The other him was gone. The corridor was empty. But something felt worse now. Because it wasn't just one anymore. The walls. They looked different. Shiny. Reflective. Like glass. Daniel took a step forward. And saw it. His reflection. But not just one. Hundreds. Stretching down both sides of the hallway. Each one slightly different. One smiled. Another didn't. One blinked. Another didn't. One was breathing. Another was completely still. Daniel's heart pounded violently. This isn't possible. Then, one of the reflections moved. Without him moving. It stepped forward. Closer to the surface. Its face pressed against the glass. Eyes wide. Desperate. Help me, it whispered. Daniel stumbled back. What the hell are you? Another reflection moved. Then another. Then all of them. Slowly stepping closer. Closer. Pressing against the glass walls. Their voices overlapping. Distorted. We are you. We watched you. We learned you. Daniel screamed. Stop. Everything froze. Silence. Then one reflection remained moving. The one directly in front of him. It smiled. And stepped through the glass. The thing wearing Daniel's face stood in front of him. And said softly. Now it's your turn, to stay inside. Morning came. The building looked normal again. Bright. Quiet. Still. Mr. Harlan walked into the security room. Daniel? He called. Daniel sat in the chair. Back turned. Completely still. You okay? Harlan asked. Daniel slowly turned around. Smiling. I'm fine. Harlan paused. Something felt off. But he ignored it. Rough first night, he asked. Daniel nodded slightly. Yeah, something like that. Behind them. The CCTV monitors flickered. One screen turned on. Floor 13. Harlan didn't notice. But Daniel did. He stared at it. His smile slowly widened. On the screen, a man was trapped in the hallway. Banging on the walls. Screaming. Trying to escape. It was the real Daniel. Trapped. Watching. Harlan finally glanced at the screen. What the? He stepped closer. Confused. Is that you? Daniel didn't answer. He just kept smiling. Because something else was now wearing his body. That night, the cameras activated again. More figures appeared. More faces. Different people. All trapped. All watching. All learning. And in the real world, more replacements began walking freely. Smiling. Living. Waiting. So tonight, before you go to sleep, check your reflection. Watch it closely. And make sure it's still copying you. Because if it ever moves on its own, even for a second, it means one thing. You're already too late. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, so you don't miss other scarier stories. Thank you.